Hello, and welcome to another edition of You Can Get There From Here. I'm Dr. Joe Moore, Chair of the Department of Communication and Digital Media Production at the University of Central Missouri, and it is my pleasure every week to get to visit with some of our alumni. I talk to those who graduate in digital media production, others who graduated in communication studies, and some who got their master's degree with us. Today, we're visiting with Tyler Jones. Tyler got his degree in digital media production. He was a member of the Mules football team, and today he is a streaming support specialist for Sidearm Sports. Tyler, great to have you with us, buddy. How you been?
I've been good, Joe. It's good to hear from you. We've been through a lot over the years, especially during the program. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, well, it's always good to have you on and get to visit with you a little bit. It's been a while, so I'm glad that we're able to make this work out this time. So, why don't you start with introducing yourself to our audience? Tell them where you went to high school, where you came here from, what brought you to UCM, and what got you into digital media.
I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri. I went to Trinity Catholic High School. At a very young age, I did kind of my own video editing for gaming, sports, all things of that sort. Kind of teaching myself all of that again at a very young age. That kind of got me thinking more in the area of wanting to do that at a professional level, which essentially got me into the digital media production program. Unfortunately, growing up in high school, I did not have the best of grades, so I had to go through one of those early programs that some guys have to go to, which is where I did meet a lot of other individuals that were similar to me that also wanted to get in kind of this area as well. So the networking at a very early age at Central Missouri was something that I was fortunate enough to deal with. Um, during some of those seminars we had to attend, again, we had to attend seminars 2 to 4 weeks prior to kind of attending classes. Again, I had to be there early for football, as Joe mentioned briefly, so on and so forth. But seeing some of the camera work for that, immediately caught my eye as a freshman, not knowing anything about anything, not knowing what to expect, not kind of understanding really any of it, just there thinking I have to do school early. So again, I'm from St. Louis. I had a few offers out of high school to go to college, different areas. I decided to pick University of Central Missouri, not only because of having a good football team, but also hearing that there was a good digital media program, along with lots of friends that I grew up as well coming here. So there's a lot of different factors that played a role in it, but yeah, here we are.
Hey, it's not where you start, it's where you finish, and you finished pretty strong, as I recall. So, you were pretty involved in college. Not just the major, not just football, but you got involved in the things that helped you build your skills. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so again, the football side of it kind of kept me disciplined, right? A lot of kids nowadays, and even when I was back in school, I think 8 years ago now, 7, 8 years ago.
No way. It's been that long?
It's been that long.
Oh man.
Graduated
I just felt some more gray hairs pop up.
December of 2017 was when I graduated from Central Missouri. Um, but yes, kids nowadays, kids back then, I feel like personally need something to discipline them nowadays, right? That thing for me was kind of football. Football was like you cannot play if you don't have this certain GPA. Um, and that was huge for me and a lot of other guys. So that kind of kept me in it. As far as the digital media side of the house, worked a lot with, again, yours truly, Dr.
Mhm.
Moore, with a lot of hands-on outside of kind of the gen ed classes and whatnot. Majority of the degree is, actually getting hands-on, learning kind of the producer role, the director role, kind of the TDing role, all of that stuff, working cameras, whatever you could think of in a kind of a newsroom environment. Um, we had that real experience. A lot of what employers are looking for now is that hands-on experience in kind of the area that you're applying for. So for example, I was a big guy in video editing, so I took a lot of the video editing classes. I took the opportunity in classes to, kind of express that, I want to do kind of the post-production side of the house. I want to be able to spend after hours when we're done, making sure what gets distributed to wherever we're broadcasting to looks good, right? After the fact, rather it be football highlights, rather it be, again, a newscast being replayed, on-air talent, whatever the case may be. I kind of took it personal to the aspect of this is what I want to get really good at, but I know in the professional world, jobs don't, jobs aren't always all around. So you have to, add to your toolbox. Same thing with sports. You have to be able to do more than one thing to make yourself valuable. So I kind of played hand in hand the two roles and kind of saw and thought about how I can kind of create one big thing out of the both of them. And, playing a sport or even trying to get your degree kind of goes hand in hand in that aspect. So that was where my mental was throughout this entire process. And again, with all the classes that Central provided, a lot of the classes that, you know, Dr. Moore taught, Darren Plummer taught, a lot of the old professors that are still around, um, required a lot of hands-on experience. And in the professional world, as we used to say all the time, they look for things like that. So I think again, working the cameras, working, in real time with sideline reporters, working with the director and the TD. I think is crucial to kind of giving employers that you're interviewing for jobs for kind of that excitement, right? This guy's fresh out of college. He's technically has no experience, but he does have experience, right, in certain areas. So it kind of gives you that capability to market yourself better when speaking with people. But overall, I feel like that was great. It was great with Essential.
Well, I'm glad you hit on that, that you were able to get your hands on a lot of equipment, do a lot of practice, get very involved. We have a lot of student athletes who come through our program, and I think several of them look at it and go, okay, well, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get hands on? How am I going to get involved if I'm an athlete? Especially like if those like you that went through our sports production program. I'm an athlete. I'm going to be playing. How am I supposed to be live streaming these sporting events? And you made it work out. You found the time that okay, so we couldn't throw a GoPro on your helmet while you're out there catching passes, but you could do basketball, you could work soccer, you could do
Hmm.
some track and field, so you
Yep.
could get involved in some of these other areas. So I'm glad that you shared that. You touched on it, that mule ball experience that you and I both share. I played a little bit earlier than you did, a little longer ago than you did.
Right, right.
But there are certain lessons you get from being a student athlete that you and I were able to transform into our sport communication life, into our professions there. For me, it was teamwork and setting goals and overcoming adversity. You mentioned the discipline. What else do you feel like your experience as a college football player helps you in your career?
There's so much. The list can go on for days, honestly. But again, the biggest things for me were, playing sports at the collegiate level really teach, again, not only discipline, but teamwork and how to deal with adversity for the most part. You're not always gonna have the best case scenario in whatever sport you're playing. And that's the same thing in the professional world. You're not necessarily going to get that job you want. You might have to go through 10 interviews. You might get the job, but it's not the pay that you're wanting, or that you might get offered a position that you have no experience doing, but you need a job, right? Those are kind of things that you deal with in the professional world. Whereas, I can relate and athletes can relate to the adversity part of it when it comes to really any sport. All sports have their own version of adversity. Again, my background is mainly playing college and professional football. I played a lot of basketball, but again, women in the field as well, soccer players, basketball player, whatever the case is, there's adversity that you deal with that essentially translates to every part of life, even if you want to talk about things outside of just the corporate world, right? Like again, the discipline you're taught, the people you meet, the connections, the are you coachable, right? Like sometimes you're gonna have managers or bosses yelling at you. I mean, that's just the reality of it, right? And most of us athletes are used to that because if you're playing bad, I mean, again, if you have a good coach, you're going to get a little bit of yelling at, right? Some sports are a little tougher than others, but being able to handle that, staying professional, and being able to carry yourself in a professional manner at all times, I think will take pretty much any student athlete, any student, any athlete, any individual a lot further than most. Just by having that experience.
You mentioned your college football and your professional football experience. You played arena football for how many years?
So I started in 2018 and ended in 2023.
Yeah,
So
5 years in the pros. I remember you were an all-star, made the all-star team a couple of times. I watched pretty closely. I wanted to see how you were. I love that arena football. I think it's so cool.
it's so much fun. The fans are right there with us. The interaction compared to like the NFL and all of that. Again, the money's not the same, but it's not necessarily about the money. People play minor sports for the love of it and for the kids and to give back to the community and to still play, right? Like that's really the biggest part of that for me.
Did you get to see kind of the behind the scenes how they did their productions and put everything together?
I did. So I've played in 3 to 4 different arena leagues for probably 4 to 5 different teams throughout the past 5, 6 years, however long it was. Most teams had in-house productions, very similar to what we did at Central. Very similar, having a crew, very smaller crew for the most part. Low budget, obviously, you can only hire so many people to do the work. But all the same stuff, different tools though. Everyone has teleprompters. People have obviously the lavalier mics, all the fun stuff that you would see there, right? Like everything that again, most of the stuff that we did there translated to some of the jobs that I've done and some of them that I've seen. So again,
Well, I
very,
like,
very helpful.
one of the things I like when watching those games is no, it is not an NFL production. It is not the, 12 to 16 cameras and things like that. But you see, you can still put on a good production with three or four cameras and, some graphics and things and good announcers. It doesn't take a big blown out production. It can be done on a smaller scale. So you got to see that from behind the scenes and I'm disappointed they didn't try and throw a GoPro on you in that league. They might have been able to get away with it.
Yeah, no, they do it in a few of the other leagues. Again, probably a GoPro on a helmet in what we play. Be a little, I don't know, a little difficult to do, especially flying over the walls and stuff. But
Maybe
it
one of
would
these
pretty,
days with AR and AI and all that stuff, they might be able to put something like that together.
right,
So
right.
today you're a streaming support specialist for Sidearm. What does that mean? What all do you do?
So basically, I'm the main point of contact between Sidearm Sports and our clients. And the majority of Sidearm's clients are smaller schools. It's actually funny we're having this conversation because Mules football actually worked with them directly, or Mules baseball, sorry. Um, so I got to watch all of those games while working. Pretty much all Division II and below schools that have not necessarily lower budgets, but not necessarily hiring ESPN to do their productions, right? Um, we didn't necessarily do their production on site, but we managed the distribution of it. So my job was basically to work with the family members, the schools directly, athletic directors, on-site individuals, whoever the case may be, to make sure that their stream was created on time, it was up on time. Again, the quality of the stream was on the school, so we didn't really manage that too much. We did call it out. Um, and just made sure that the overall user experience, fan experience, client experience was good for who was working with us. So we have to work through ticketing systems. We had to take phone calls. We had to proactively reach out to schools, kind of walk them through in depth, kind of what we were seeing, what needed to happen, just to confirm times, how long is this going to go. Again, this operated mainly on the school's websites, which obviously goes through our sales department and all that fun stuff prior to hitting us. Um, but I was kind of that main point of contact, main escalation contact for internal and external resources.
So what's next for Tyler Jones? That sounds like you've got a very responsible position that you're answering to a lot of constituencies. Your technical skills that you developed while you were in college, you'll be able to bring those into play because you have to make sure everything looks right.
hmm
What's next for you?
That's a good question. I've been kind of going with the flow over the years. Again, retiring from football about a year and a half ago, I really got to sit down and focus on my career, doing both throughout this entire time. And I want to stay in the media industry, hands down. Not so much more in the post-production side, but I really enjoy the streaming side of the house. I really love working behind the scenes, seeing how all the puzzles connect, kind of creating these workflows so people that are watching at home actually have a good experience. Like I love working with people personally. I've dealt with my fair share of frustrated customers. I've dealt with my fair share of happy customers, and kind of the overall, aspect of kind of that area of production I really enjoy. So I think I'm gonna try to find again, however long I'm with Sidearm, whatever that looks like. But I only want to move up the chain in kind of that area of it.
That is not a career that we've really talked much about in our sports production area because it's not one that, you really think about. It's not one that if you're doing the job right, nobody notices because
hmm
it's getting out there. But if there's a mistake or if there's some issue that needs to be addressed, you're gonna need a Tyler Jones to make sure that's working for you. So that brings up the slogan the university has adopted, redefining what's possible. So we're talking about production side of things, but there's a whole other aspect of sports production that a lot of people maybe haven't even thought about. What does that redefining what's possible mean to you?
Redefining what's possible. So when I hear that slogan, first thing that comes to mind is there's there's more than one way to do things, right? A lot of a lot of individuals like to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of go by that, which works. Um, but when I think of that, I like to think that there's multiple ways to do it, right? Like you don't have to do it one way, you don't have to do it a second way. Like there's no right way as long as you get it done, right? So I think this specific question is mainly, how can we redefine what a good production looks like? What tools can we use to make a good production? What individuals can we bring in? How can we do this cost effective? How can we be expensive? With all those little things, I think we can combine kind of into this one slogan to kind of make out what redefining actually looks like, right? Because I've had some employers that, they think this looks like this, they think this looks like that. There's really no right or wrong answer to production as long as you know how to use the tools that are doing the job, right? Um, so in short, how can we put everything together to be one good production? That's how kind of I see that slogan.
I like
Ve-
that. You know,
Very
there's
basic, very basic. I'm sorry, but
no, no, that's not basic at all. I like that you're thinking, you know, we've always done it this way. And that's one of those phrases that people hear that just grates on others' nerves is, well,
Mm,
we've always done it this way. Well, that doesn't mean that's the only way it can be done. We could think of other ways. It's possible to redefine how we do this. And so
mm.
I like that you're thinking along those lines. So before I let you get out of here, I've got two more questions for you.
Okay.
I'm wanting you to pull back on your experience and talk to a current UCM digital media production student and give them some advice. And then think about that student who's thinking about coming to UCM to study digital media production or communication studies. What would you tell them?
Ooh, this list can go on for days as well. Let's start with the current with the current students. The biggest advice I can give to a current Central Missouri student is get as much hands-on experience as you can, because there are going to be classes that you don't have to take to graduate. There are going to be classes that you don't want to take to graduate, that you don't think you need to take to graduate. And really, in the professional world, the more you know, the more successful you are.
Yeah.
So again, I know a lot of what the sports production program provides is hands-on production experience. I personally, I did it back then. I would do it again if I had to. Anything that requires hands-on experience, rather that be behind the scenes, rather you want to be in on-air talent, rather you just want to scroll the teleprompter so people know what to read, whatever the case may be, I would take it all. I would do whatever you had to do. Obviously, whatever your financial situation is on you, but take as many classes as you can take that will give you that hands-on experience. And the next part to that is ask as many questions as you need to. Joe can tell, I mean, you can tell him that I used to, Joe, what does this button do? When do I say this? Who's counting me down? All of those questions, I like to talk and I like to ask a ton of questions. Don't be scared to ask questions. Don't be scared to mess up. I mean, again, this is a class, right? So this is
Yep.
what it's about. The
Don't be afraid to
profession,
fail.
right. I mean, there's going to be failures at this level, in the professional level. Um, Employers understand that there are going to be mess ups. There's usually processes around kind of what that looks like if you are to mess up, but use this time to really learn, really understand what it looks like to press the buttons and to ask questions from whoever it is teaching you and go on from there. That's the most important thing with all of this in my mind. Without the hands-on experience, I don't know that I would even have made it as far as I have today. So I think that's the most important thing. Obviously, reading the books and whatnot helps, and documentation, but there's no experience than better than doing it.
Yeah.
So
Get your hands on there and get some practice. I remember on air was not necessarily your favorite thing. You didn't
mhm,
really love doing that, but you did it and you were
mhm.
willing to do it and you did it with gusto. I remember you gave it the old college try every time you got on there and you were good.
I
You
try
had some
to,
skill
yeah,
at it, but I know that you liked being behind the camera, behind the
Mhm,
scenes on the other side of the computer more than that.
yeah,
So I love that you
100%.
say that. What
No,
about that
100%.
kid that's thinking about coming to UCM?
The kid thinking about coming to UCM, my first thing would be, are you interested in digital media? Like some people might not know, majority of kids don't know. Nowadays, you would think more kids than ever would want to come because the media is like the thing nowadays. Like you have to know how to
Everywhere.
use, yeah,
Yep.
you have to know how to use technology even at the most basic level. Um, but if I'm a kid trying to figure out what I want to do in college, again, I had all these offers to go to these different programs and I don't regret going to Central at all. Just specifically based off of the schooling. Um, all the other things fall into place, but the degree in the communications department, it's top notch. I've met again lots of individuals from all over the world, all over the country, different schools, different programs. When we talk about kind of the degree and what I do for work and how I do it from work, it all goes back to kind of this production program that I went through during this time and the connections and how helpful everyone has been. Like even it's not even just the professors, like the individuals in your classes are
Yeah.
very helpful and are learning as well. Like everyone is in the same chair as you, trying to do the same thing, trying to figure it out. Because that's again, that's what it's about, trying to figure it out, trying to learn. What's this going to look like? Ask the questions to the people that know. How is this going to translate? You know, all of that stuff, I think is, and again, I'm biased, obviously. But honestly, Central Missouri is the program is just it's mind blowing. A lot of people nowadays are probably gonna question the Division II program, right? A lot of everyone wants to go Big D1, you know,
Sure.
why not Mizzou? Mizzou might have a, you know, like that's the reality of a lot of conversations that take place nowadays.
Yeah.
And if I'm talking to a high school student, I'm telling them straight up, I'm like, you know, don't doubt the smaller schools because in my chair, you know, the smaller schools, honestly, in this area are probably better because there's not as many students as the bigger schools, and you can really get some more of that one-on-one training
Yep.
that most people don't get to have. And if you ask the right questions and you really apply yourself and you want to be good and better and set yourself up for success in the long run, um, I think I don't think anyone would ever regret going through this program. I mean, again, we can talk for days on all of this stuff here. I mean, 10 years later, however long, we're still talking, Joe. So
Yeah.
I'm very biased, but again, I don't want people to think because it's Division II school or in a smaller program and whatever the case may be that they won't be able to learn as much because that's not the case at all.
Well, Tyler, we're glad that you came here to learn, and you may have had those other offers, but you found a home here at the University of Central Missouri. We're so proud of you. You're doing some great work. Keep it up and keep in touch, and let us know how you're doing and what's going on, and if we can continue to help you along your way. All right.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, Joe, as always.
All right. Take care, buddy.
Yes, sir.
And thanks all of you for tuning in today. Remember, you can catch every episode on our YouTube channel through the UCM Media Network. That's youtube.com/UCMMN. You can also listen on Spotify. Special thanks to Jake Mager for creating our theme music. Again, this is Dr. Joe Moore reminding you, you can get there from here. Have a great day.